In the year 1220 AD, while Europe was embroiled in the Crusades and struggling through the Dark Ages, a vibrant, golden city-state was rising at the confluence of the Limpopo and Shashe Rivers. This was Mapungubwe, the first indigenous kingdom of southern Africa. It was a place of extreme wealth, where the kings lived in seclusion on a sandstone fortress, and the gold flowed like water. But Mapungubwe was more than a kingdom. It was a global industrial powerhouse. Today, we are analyzing the specific chemistry of Mapungubwe's gold. We are tracking the manifests of Chinese silk and Persian glass. We are reclaiming the gold standard of African trade. Welcome to Hidden Heritage. Today we are investigating a site so powerful that its existence was suppressed for decades to protect the colonial narrative. Mapungubwe is the first blueprint of the African city-state. In the ancient scriptures, the Pishin River is noted for its high-quality gold. At Mapungubwe, that gold was refined into the legendary Golden Rhino, a symbol of leadership and industrial might. If you want to understand how Africa traded with the world centuries before discovery, you are in the right place. Let's look at the material science. The Golden Rhino is a triumph of smithing. It is made of thin gold foil, tacked onto a wooden core with tiny gold nails. But how did they get the gold that thin? This requires the process of annealing, repeatedly heating and cooling the metal to keep it soft enough to hammer into sheets as thin as paper. The furnaces found at Mapungubwe were not basic pits. They were high-temperature industrial units capable of reaching over 1,000 degrees Celsius. Archaeologists have found crucibles with gold droplets still attached, proving that these people were assaying and refining gold to a purity that matched global standards. They weren't just trading raw nuggets. They were exporting value-added industrial products. This was the birth of African manufacturing. Mapungubwe was the gateway to the Indian Ocean. Excavations have revealed a shocking amount of import-export data. We found Chinese Celadon porcelain from the Sung dynasty. We found Persian turquoise glass beads. We found cotton from India. This proves that 800 years ago, Mapungubwe was a major node in the global supply chain. They traded gold and ivory for these luxury goods. This required a deep knowledge of international trade law, maritime schedules, and currency exchange. They were not isolated. They were the economic engine of the Southern Hemisphere. The kings of Mapungubwe were globalist thinkers, managing a population of over 9,000 people in a complex, urbanized city-state. The city was designed with spatial hierarchy. The king lived on top of the hill, a sacred, secluded area, while the commoners lived in the valley. This was the first time in southern Africa that we saw social stratification based on professional class. The king was a sacred leader, responsible for rainmaking and the spiritual health of the land. The urban planning was genius. They used the natural sandstone cliffs for defense and built elaborate stone walls to terrace the land for agriculture. They were growing sorghum, millet, and beans at a scale that suggests industrial farming. They had figured out how to sustain a massive population in a semi-arid environment through sophisticated water management. Mapungubwe eventually declined due to climate change, a mini ice age that dried up the Limpopo. But its people didn't disappear. They moved north to found Great Zimbabwe. The gold standard they created lived on. Africa has always been a continent of industry, trade, and excellence. We are the architects of the global economy. If this deep dive into the Golden Kingdom spoke to you, leave a comment with the word gold. Subscribe to Hidden Heritage as we continue to reclaim our throne. The heritage continues.